I've been brainwashed. Are you telling me egg rolls don't exist in China, y'all? Fucked up.
We've got how the USA invented Chinese food. Now, today's video has been brought to us by a subscriber. Got that shit on the screen. TRaw. You know what I'm saying? That boy Maddie put that shit up on the screen. As you can see, our platforms are right here. Join us. With that being said, we going back to the video.
I want to show you two Chinese dishes. This is an egg roll, and this is a spring roll. Now, they might look pretty similar, and they're both Chinese food, but only one of them is from China. Wait, hang on. They're both Chinese food. Why is only one from China? Okay, what about the fortune cookie? They're from Asia. This is the one that we have in America, and this is the one from Asia. But neither of them are from China. So, what's going on here? Well, what if I told you that Chinese food isn't always tied to food from China? At least not in the way that Americans think of it. And that's because the Chinese food that I'm talking about is an American invention.
What you got?
Camel's hump.
What?
Camel's hump.
You walk over to that table, you pick up an egg roll.
The steamed dumpling appetizer, General Tso's chicken, beef with broccoli.
It's not Chinese, it's American.
Love me some General Tso
If
chicken.
you're American, a majority of your exposure to Chinese food is probably stuff like chop suey, fortune cookies, egg rolls.
Definitely.
But
Egg
none of
rolls.
this exists in China. It would take me a whole other video to explain
I've been brainwashed. Are you telling me egg rolls don't exist in China, y'all? Fucked up.
what's actually in Chinese cuisine, because it's more of like a genre of food that has a lot of cuisines in it than being one cuisine itself. Today I want to talk about how, for at least most Americans, the Chinese food we talk about isn't always tied to food from China. And a lot of Americans don't even know that.
It hasn't even been open for a week, but Lucky Lee's, a new Chinese restaurant in Greenwich Village, is at the center of a firestorm.
A few years ago, a white woman named Ariel Hasbell tried to open a Chinese restaurant called Lucky Lee's in New York. Her goal was to open a Chinese restaurant that served, and I quote, clean Chinese food, which obviously caused a lot of backlash, and the restaurant closed like 8 months after opening. But the controversy didn't just come from insulting the food of over 1 billion people. A lot of Asian Americans were upset because the Chinese food she was trying to fix wasn't even food from China. In fact, the cuisine she was trying to make for white people was already a cuisine made for white people. This is purely American. And all of the food that I'm going to be talking about is a branch of American cuisine. And it's called American Chinese food.
Damn, Chin. Some greasy shit.
People don't know why there is this Chinese American cuisine versus Chinese cuisine, which are very distinctly different.
You know these are just fortune cookies. Oh, well, let's order off the menu then.
Okay, it's the mid-1800s and California just
Real Chinese people in that motherfucker.
found gold. People from across the world started flocking to California, which at this time basically had like nothing. But they went there in search of gold and to have a chance at the American dream. This also caught headwinds in China, especially in the city of Canton, which is now Guangzhou. This region of China is actually where a lot of Chinese Americans are from. Incidentally, most of my own family is from this region. But the first Chinese people to go to America didn't actually go to mine for gold. Instead, they were actually kind of entrepreneurs who already had a bit of money. They went to California, mostly San Francisco, to service these miners, working as traders, grocers, and restaurant owners. Their idea was to make money off of the people making money off of gold. Eventually, poorer Chinese people did move to the US to mine for gold, but from the beginning, Chinese people were already making food for Americans, trying to figure out ways to change their home cuisine to fit Western tastes. But the gold rush didn't last forever.
And that now perfectly makes sense. Because it's like, imagine you're cutting up lizards and gizzards. Americans gonna look at you crazy, like, boy, I ain't no lizard, boy. I got me a chicken in my backyard. I'm finna go home and eat that.
And Chinese people just kept coming in their foreign clothing and speaking their foreign language. People in California were getting tired of all these Chinese people coming in. They started making arguments like how Chinese people worked too hard, which caused declining wages and increased competition. Or they talked about how Chinese people were dirty. Even the New York Times questioned if Chinese people ate rats. Eventually, all of this fear-mongering and scapegoating.
I don't know. I'm not buying into the allegations, okay? Because that shit follows them everywhere they go, apparently. But all I can say, they make some good ass food.
Led Congress, the national governing body, to pass a law called the Chinese Exclusion Act. This law basically banned Chinese people from coming into the US, bar a few exceptions. And this law lasted from 1882 to 1943. That's less than 100 years ago. And despite this law, there were already a lot of Chinese people in the US, and now they had to fight to survive in a country that didn't want them there. And when I mean survive, I literally mean survive. During this time around the late 1800s and early 1900s, there were tons of incidents of Chinese people being massacred and lynched. This period was called the driving out, and it included tragedies like the Rock Springs Massacre in Wyoming and the hanging of around 20 Chinese people in Los Angeles. Now, I want to talk more about the driving out, but a lot of it is pretty gruesome and violent, and it doesn't really fit the tone of the rest of the video, so I really recommend just looking it up yourself, because I was never taught about any of this at school, and it was really just unpleasant to find out about. But the main thing to know is that the driving out kind of succeeded. In 1880, the Chinese population was at around 105,000, but by 1920, the population had dropped to 61,000. And the ones who did stay primarily only lived in neighborhoods called Chinatown. The biggest one was in San Francisco. Now, Chinatown at this point looked like any other American neighborhood, just with a lot of Asians. And obviously, people in the governments of cities like San Fran and LA didn't want these Chinatowns to be right in their city centers. America has a long history of tearing down neighborhoods run by minorities, especially black communities, and Chinese Americans knew that they were no exception. I mean, there were even organized methods to try to get rid of Chinese people. One of them was called the Tacoma Method, where several hundred white men forced the Chinese community out of Tacoma, Washington. By the way, this violent mob was organized by city leaders, and it was being replicated across the West Coast. So in order to fight this, Chinese people came up with a crazy plan. They made their neighborhoods more foreign. Chinatown started to be decorated with Chinese architectural features, stuff like Chinese gates, lanterns, and pagodas. By the way, actual Chinese cities aren't full of this stuff. This was like a romanticized image of China, or the...
Yeah, to bring it, and I get why they would do it, to kind of like bring, you know, when you're far from home, you miss home, you get that feeling of being homesick. And so when you're seeing all this shit that reminds you of home and you're surrounded by people, it feels like you're still home. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It makes sense.
Orient, kind of like how an amusement park kind of builds a fantasy European town. And by being these very foreign-looking places, they became tourist attractions. Chinatowns all across the world now look like this. Even in Asian countries like the Philippines and Singapore, this was the beginning of a visual separation between China and American China. This exaggerated image of China obviously extended to the food as well. And in came these iconic symbols of Chinese food.
For a short time, China Coast is stirring up sizzling tender chicken stir-fried with fresh broccoli.
Let's begin with this, the oyster pail, or now better known as the Chinese takeout box.
When did this box come over from China?
Oh, well, in fact, it never came over from China. It is a uniquely American invention.
This is an American invention?
That's right.
This box was actually originally meant to carry oysters in the 1800s, but because of overfishing, oysters became pretty rare, and a lot of these boxes went unused and became really cheap. So Chinese takeout restaurants started using them to store takeout food, and Americans started associating the box with China. And to capitalize on this, Chinese restaurants even watermarked these boxes with red pagodas and thank you in very bamboo-y Chinese text. But if you show this box to someone in the middle of China who's never been to America before, there's a really good chance that they have no idea what this box is for. So this was the beginning of the mystification of Chinese food. Let's go back to the egg roll, a quintessential element of Chinese takeout. Though it is based on a Chinese dish, the spring roll, egg rolls are different in that they're way bigger and are always fried. The egg roll is most likely from New York, by the way. Two restaurants, Port Arthur and Lung Fong's, both claim to have created the egg roll. Now, the egg roll doesn't have any egg in it either, so the naming of it is still kind of a mystery. Another dish that's also not from China is General Tso's chicken, which was actually created by this guy in Taiwan. But it never took off there, so he tried to bring it to China, but Chinese people thought it was too sweet and it failed again. Then he finally brought it to New York, and it became a huge hit there. But probably the most interesting one is this, the fortune cookie. So the fortune cookie, which I think is probably one of the most iconic symbols of American Chinese food, is from Asia. It's just not from China, but Japan.
おみくじせんべいって聞いたことあります？見て！おみくじせんべい、フォーチュンクッキー、おみくじせんべい見つけたので、今日はこちら本物のおみくじがクッキーから出てくるおみくじせんべい食べてみたいと思います。
The fortune cookie comes from a Japanese cookie that looks and works pretty similarly. It's called Sujiura Senbei, or Omikuji Senbei. The cookies would contain an omikuji, a small slip of fortune that is still found in pretty much every Japanese temple today. But unlike a fortune cookie...
Bro, I knew this didn't feel like a Chinese thing. The fortune cookie.
Yeah.
It just felt like... But, I mean, at the same time, it's always kind of nice. I still like my fortune cookies. It's not stopping me from eating my fortune.
America, which is made with vanilla and butter, this Japanese senbei is usually made with miso and sesame. And guess what? I live in Japan, so I got some. And I can say that they look just like fortune cookies. It's pretty uncanny. I might as well just try one right now, actually.
Like waffle.
I know it's not gonna taste.
So this is a Japanese fortune cookie.
Said it was made with miso.
That's weird. It's supposed to be made from miso and sesame, but it tastes just like a fortune cookie in America.
Oh, really?
And it comes with its own fortune. This one says I have small luck. But yeah, this is pretty good, actually.
Small luck is crazy.
What?
It's believed that the fortune cookie was first served in the States at a Japanese tea garden in San Francisco. But there's
I ain't gonna lie, bro. You look like you needed to drink some water after that.
another claim from a sweet shop called Fugetsudo in Little Tokyo, LA, that claims to have brought the fortune cookie from Japan to the US as well. And they've also claimed to have sold the fortune cookie to Chinese restaurants. But why did a Japanese snack that came to America as a Japanese snack become one of the most iconic Chinese snacks? Well, through our research, we don't really know exactly for sure, but there is one big theory that kind of stuck out to us.
We knew that some among them were potentially dangerous, but no one knew what would happen among this concentrated population. Military authorities therefore determined that all of them, citizens and aliens alike, would have to move. Neither the Army nor the War Relocation Authority relished the idea of taking men, women, and children from their homes, their shops, and their farms. So the military and civilian agencies alike determined to do the job as a democracy should, with real consideration for the people involved.
During World War II, after Japan attacked Pearl Harbor, the US put over 100,000 American Japanese into internment camps in the middle of the desert. This of course forced many American Japanese people to lose their jobs, businesses, and restaurants. During this time, Chinese restaurants, which weren't really affected by this, just took the opportunity and started selling fortune cookie themselves. And let's be honest, it was the 1940s, and most Americans probably had no idea if Chinese or Japanese food were any different at all. But by 1960, the fortune cookie became ubiquitous in Chinese restaurants. This was because a man named Edward Louis invented a fortune cookie machine that just made fortune cookies for dirt cheap. And ever since, Chinese restaurants have just been serving fortune cookies for free after meals as like a thank you or courtesy. And that's what I really find interesting about all of this. It's this romanticization of fortune cookies and Chinese food.
You will commit a crime in 3 minutes.
Everybody knows that the fortunes written inside is basically nonsense. It's like written in a factory. But it feeds this image that America has of Asia as this sagacious and mythical place. When times are good,
you may believe that, brother, but I don't. Now listen, it sounds crazy, but even though they write the fortunes not really believing that it will enact anything, you have to also think about the chances and the numerical coincidences in life that lead you to grab that fortune. Now, follow me real quick now. Let's say you're hungry. You don't really know what you want to eat. That's already a small, low percentage chance that you're going to buy that Chinese food, right? Then let's say you come down to 3 options. You end up grabbing the Chinese food. And then you open the fortune and the fortune says something like, something good will happen to you tonight. Maybe you were going to go to work and you were thinking, fuck, I got to go to work. I'm tired. I want to stay home. Yeah. But now you got that fortune and it's fed your subconscious. Something good is going to happen tonight. Yeah. So now you go to work and you don't even know why you're happy. Because you're already manifesting in the back of your mind, bro, something great's going to happen tonight. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And more than likely, something good will happen. So I don't put into doubt that fortune cookies are bad because it's the power that you put into them. Back to the video.
Americans view Asia as a place of wisdom, where foresight comes in poetry, nature, and riddles. But when times are bad, Asians are dirty, noisy, and funny looking.
I am sorry, but I lost my key.
You disturb me! You must have a key made!
And we get told to go home. And it's because of this that Asians in America have had to constantly recreate themselves again and again in order to fit the way that Americans view or want to view them.
You are 0% East Asian.
Wait a minute, I don't got no Asian in me. I like Chinese food.
But if you're not Chinese American and really want to try like Chinese food, there are many places across America that serve that. Even in my hometown of New York, there are like 3 major Chinese neighborhoods outside of Chinatown in Manhattan. One's in Flushing, Queens, and the other 2 are in Brooklyn at 8th Avenue and 18th Avenue. And the food and restaurants there are nothing like the normal typical American Chinese takeout place. But still, I think American Chinese food is amazing. I love it and miss it every day, even though I live right next door to China. Because again, this isn't Chinese food. It's American food, made by people who are now definitively American. And their success, despite everything, is what America is all about. I think it's time for us to start understanding that Chinese food, American food.
So we have American food, basically, in an American box, and we all think that we're going around being ethnic.
Yes, Chinese food in the Chinese takeout box is as American as apple pie.
And this is as Chinese as I am.
Yeah, that's right.
I think we made it to the end of that video. Shout out to bro, man. I'm gonna go ahead and give him a follow. Real talk.
Sir,
TRaw.
Americans, bro, we been stealing shit.
Definitely.
So, I mean, it is what it is, bro.
But it was more than that. It showed you how Chinese food has evolved, right? It's not necessarily, Americans stole it. But it was also the fact that Chinese people had to evolve their food to adapt. And it created many different dishes. Like, I'm a Jamaican and I love General Tso's chicken, orange chicken. Like, I was eating hella Chinese food down in Jamaica. I couldn't go a day without it sometimes. But y'all already know, man. Y'all made it to the end of another video, man. We love y'all. We grateful for y'all, man. We can't do none of this without y'all. Binge the rest of the videos on the channel, man. We're going to see y'all in the next one. Scan this QR code right here to keep up with all things VG, man. We're going to see y'all in the next one. We out.